one day something clicked. My HR called me and said, Ken, I see all the work you're doing here. What is the plan? I mean, at what point in time are you going to, you know, ask for an increment in your salary? I was like, today is to increase salary in this office. I mean, the boss just wakes up one morning and then decide your fate. You don't ask. My name is Kenneth. I'm in my 30s.
Okay.
I have engineered some firms in the past, and I have
Okay.
settled to, balance up myself with what I can control and handle. I
Okay.
have been beaten, and I've beaten more than I can chew. I have given to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and
Oh
I've
my
collected
God.
what belongs to Caesar. I'm into tech, like I said
Okay.
earlier, and yeah, I'm also a socialpreneur.
Wow, that's nice. A nice profile, I must say. Okay, and so I remember the last time we had this interview. It was just over the phone call, and I actually did like a newsletter on LinkedIn. And since then till now, it's going to be like almost 2 years now. So
Yeah,
now we are honored to have you back on our
thank you
podcast
so
as the
much. Now,
first person. And you were the first person in the newsletter, and now you're also the first person in the podcast. So we really appreciate it. We're welcoming you back, and we know that from here is going to be something much more greater. So now let's dive into the interview itself. Yeah, asking you some questions. No, we don't want to go into the topic first. Let's just, do some things that will make us happy before we go back to the topic that's going to remind you of what happened to you. So now let's rewind a bit, okay? So what was your very first business idea, and what sparked it?
my very first business idea was to have a media firm. Now,
Okay.
why that was actually in alignment with my vision, it's kind of deviated me from what I studied in school. You see, I studied software engineering, but then I didn't derive joy in building it. Now, for those that know what software development is all about, the languages change almost every year. In fact, now that there's AI, every single month there's a new language on the block. There's a new
Yeah, that's
stuff.
true.
But I had passion of making things beautiful. I like to make things better than I met it. I like to beautify things. And I realized that growing up, I was a very expressive kid. Yeah.
Okay.
So the best way to put this expression into place is to display the expression, which is where graphic. Remember when I used to dance back then? I used to be a
Yes,
dancer.
I know. Yes, back then.
It's crazy now, but I realized that and then I realized also that I love to talk.
Okay.
Trying to infuse all of this together, I wasn't getting as much gig as I wanted. So I had to create for myself a platform where I was going to express myself, which is
All
where the
right.
whole podcast thing started. I get a camera. I used to use an iPad then. I record myself and I post it online. Just share the knowledge part, express myself, what I see, my
Yeah.
views, whatnot. I had to create those content and edit them myself, which is where I, started the media business. And I asked myself, I could make money from this. And then people ask me on the comment section, hey, Ken, what's up? How did you edit this thing? I was like, yeah, I edited. And then I became good at it. 2016, I was already doing After Effects, like the kind of things you see on Doctor Strange. I was making those back then. We're talking about 9 years ago. I listened to a podcast when the guy said, whatever you're good at, don't do it for free. Charge people for that thing, collect your money. So I
Wow.
decided to, taking course for those things. Formerly, I would just focus on what I studied in school, which was the web
Okay.
development, software development. But then I realized that I was getting more gigs from, the media, which came about graphics. So I started my first firm. And the name of the firm is Rhythm Mix Production.
I remember. So what actually made you say I want to be an entrepreneur? Like, will you say it's passion? Will you say it's pressure? Or will you say it's pain? So at what point did you made up your mind that, okay, I'm going to be an entrepreneur? Aside of this is my passion, okay, these are the things I love to do. But this is the moment I made up my mind I want to become an entrepreneur. So can you tell us about that?
I'm among the selected few that believe that entrepreneurship is not taught, it is actually born with. So it's either
Okay.
you're born an entrepreneur or you're not. I
Okay.
have always been an entrepreneur. Now,
Okay.
coming from a mother that I had who spent most of the time, my mom liked to make, numbers multiply. That was a thing. Coming from
Okay.
that kind of family background, I had to, you know, decide what I wanted to do with myself. Now, the entrepreneurial thing that I started, I had a couple of ways to, put things together. While I was working for the people I was working for back in the days, I was doing my entrepreneurial business by the side. Some
Okay.
months I'll make double my salary.
Yeah.
Now I was still loyal at the office. I was still, just talking about uh, 8, 9 years ago,
Mm.
10 years ago. I was still doing that, get double my salary. Of course, I didn't understand money management, so as I make the money, I go to
Okay.
spend it. So just make the money, I spend the money. Financial management has nothing to do with entrepreneurship. It's a discipline you have to learn.
Of
Yeah,
course.
that was a problem. That was something I was suffering. I wasn't able to leave my job there, even
Okay.
if I was learning what I could learn. Being a corporate person took me years to master the art of negotiation, um, showmanship, um, do bidding, technical bidding, financial bidding, all of those things, preparing quotations, writing letters, documentation, etc. It took me years to do all of these, but I had to be in those spaces where those things were taught and being used.
Okay.
Now, the entrepreneurial side of me, when it came out, when it started manifesting, was when was working at the last job with a firm. I don't want to mention the name. And one day something clicked. My HR called me and said, "Ken, I see all the work you're doing here. What is the plan? I mean, at what point in time are you going to ask for an increment in your salary?" I was like, "Do they used to increase salary in this office? I mean, the boss just wakes up one morning and then decide your fate. You don't ask." But she said, "Yeah, Ken, I mean, they just promoted your junior and she's earning more than you. What's happening? You are the one holding the office together." So I decided to give it a shot. I mean, coming from her, maybe the boss wanted her to tell me so I can, take the action. And so I went to my boss. He was this 7 feet tall looking huge man with money. Like, he thinks of the insult at night, comes to the office and delivers it properly. So I went to him and I said, so that's when I also started learning psychology. I realized there was a
Okay.
wardrobe at his office. Yeah. So I realized that when you are shouting and you're upset, if you look at yourself in the mirror, you tend to adjust yourself. Yeah. So when I go to his office, I stand beside the mirror. So while he's looking at me, he sees himself in the mirror as well. The stuff actually worked. It reduced the amount of insults I get. So I told him, I was like, "Boss, I need an increment in my salary." He was shocked. First of all, what gave this young man the audacity to walk into my office at 11 a.m. on a Monday morning asking me for increment? He said, "Go and call the HR." So I went to call the HR. Of course, she told me to do it. Then they called me in the office. He said, "If I don't increase your salary, what will happen?" It seemed like a very short question, but that was the
Yeah.
deep of my life. Because now, prior to that time, let's say a month or 2 weeks before that time, I had a client that used to come to my office to meet me during my break time while I do some work for them.
Okay.
My boss just drove past the car that I was in with the client, and I kind of ducked. I don't want my boss to see me, doing something for somebody else while I was working. He told me, "Why are you dodging?" I said, like, "That's my boss." He said, "Do you know how much that car is?" The car the boss was driving. I said, "I don't know." He said, "That car, give or take, is 80 million naira." Now,
Wow.
I'm talking about a time when the country was still good, like naira was it was
Was
usable.
was like maybe 100 naira or 150, right?
Exactly. So this is 80 million naira. He said, "How much is your salary?" I kind of lied to him because it's going to pay me for the job I'm doing, so I increased
Of
it.
course.
Then we
I
calculated
can
how
relate.
it's going to take me to make the amount of money to buy that car, even one. So I thought about it for a while. I knew how much my HR was earning. I knew how much the IT head was earning.
Mm-hmm.
None of us could buy that car unless we don't spend our salary for at least 6, 7, 8 years.
Oh my God.
That thing stick to me. So I was like, I have to work for this man diligently. Don't spend it dime to be able to afford this car that's going to be outdated in the time I buy it.
Out of the numerous stuffs he has.
So why am I taking this shit? So coming back to when he asked me the question, what are you going to do? Are you going to walk away? I said, yeah. And so we had a deal. He told me, Ken, listen, do you have a laptop you're going to work with? I said, no, probably the one the company gave me. He said, okay, we just paid you salary, right? I said, yes, sir. He said, if I sack you, I'm going to give you the laptop and I'll pay you for the next month. I was like, eh? If you sack me? He said, yes. HR was there. I said, give me the deal. There's a picture on Facebook here while I stood with my sack letter and the rest of my staff team members.
I think I remember that picture.
I think I was showing you that picture before. It's the happiest
I remember the picture.
I plan to frame it one day and show my staff members.
Wow, that's amazing. Back now, so were there red flags you ignored at the beginning at your start of being an entrepreneur? Were there a lot of red flags, like looking back?
So now this is a statement of fact.
Okay.
Africans are known to always go back in time or where they were from to help the people there. It's more like when I get out of the hood, I go back and assist the people in the hood. The truth of the matter is only Africa and the whole of this planet practice this form of life. A Chinese man wouldn't leave one town, make money and go back to one town to help anybody. That's not his problem. He's made it out. You make it out.
Before he gives you the money, you have to work. Like, you have to work for it.
but the Africans, we are used to that kind of life. And so when I started getting it clear, when I started making some money, I went back to the people that didn't even believe in me in the first place to begin with. And I recruited them to work with and for me.
Wow.
Now, believe it or not, no matter how you want to change it or picture it, the fact is, personal relationship will always come and disrupt business. As long as the both parties involved are not mature. I had a lot of fallout with my friends, with my brothers. I had a lot of fallout with people who I saw as mentors. I had a lot of fallout with my now wife, you know. The problem then is not because I'm not smart enough, of course, to see these problems or foresee them or plan for them before they happen. It's just the part of me that wants to help people. Like I told you earlier, I have a thing for making things better. I'm talking about business, I'm talking about human beings, I'm talking about situations. It's more like a calling for me. So I don't even see myself as an entrepreneur. I see myself as the pastorpreneur, if I should use that term. So I went back to the same people and I recruited them. Yeah, dude, what's up? Where are you working? How much are they paying you? They're paying me 40,000. Come on, work for me. I give you 300. That job is done.
And you did not call me.
Because there was so much money.
What did I do to you?
There was so much money then. So I was surrounded with a lot of people who might primarily not have my best interest at heart, but they had that money I was giving around at heart. I was more like the ice cream man. Lateness, argument, unaccountability, disdain. Everything was floating around. And I was laughing like everything was okay. When I had my first downfall, when everything ceased, every entrepreneur gets to a point in business where things go upside down. This is where this is where they test your faith. When that happened to me, every single person, not even one, every single person.
It just reminds me of this popular African song, When Money Day, Friend Go Day. When money no day, friend go.
Every single person vanished. In fact, new fight started. new beef. Friends came, pick what they could. Like they believed I was done. I was done for. The closing statement is, this brother is done. But I realized that if I fail at that time and went back to start working for people, then I'm not really an entrepreneur. I was just an opportunist. An entrepreneur is, you stood the test of time. This trial and tribulation came, you fought it and you won. So I decided to stay. The last place I worked for, I told you about, where they told me they were going to bribe me with a laptop and the next month I had to do. Yeah, exactly. I went back there and asked them for a loan. They told me, why you want a loan? How much you want? I said, I just need some money to put back in my business because everything is sinking. They offered me an employment. If I tell you the amount of money they were offering to pay me, you will not believe it. They wanted to give me a proper homecoming. Like, why are you doing entrepreneur? Just come and be working with us. You don't have to stress.
They might even tell you, maybe you're not meant to be an entrepreneur. Maybe you actually made a mistake, So why not just come back? You're actually doing well with us.
They're like, you could, everything you do, we see it, we like it. You could just be doing it here. We have the money to. I went to them and I asked them for about 15 million. They beat it down to 7. The day we're supposed to close the deal, they beat it down to 5. I was like, listen, I might be broke, but I ain't stupid. So I walked out. It wasn't easy, but I feel like our choices define us.
Yeah.
So I'm happy I didn't take the deal or even take the job offer they gave me.
Well, that's great. Great to hear. All right, so you've already told us the moment when things started falling apart, with you employing people you were familiar with, giving them a very high raise, But then you've given us this part. So what businesses actually did you actually have these fails in?
I had a fear in organogram.
Okay.
The fail I had in organogram was, even if my organogram was properly structured, whereby everybody knew who they answered to, staff members, there was a problem. If every single person in the management level, smart or not, was ranked high and paid crazily, the staff didn't know what to aspire to. So if I'm working for Mr. Ken and I'm not Mr. Ken's friend, I should forget about being promoted. Because as long as Mr. K or Mr. M is in that same management position, the guy is not leaving anytime soon. He's going to be there forever. So I'm not motivated to be anything because there's truly no space there for me. That's one. 2, there was problem in accountability. Imagine I give somebody a query or I give somebody a fine in the office. And when I go back, I have to apologize to my guy and try to explain to him that some fine supposed to get you.
Oh my God.
Employing people who I knew was a problem. The clause of familiarity, especially in cases where an individual is not mature enough. It disturbed the friendship, it disturbed the work culture. The other red flag that I noticed was, and I ignored, was people don't truly change. The truth is, people show you who they are. You just choose to look at it or remove your eye. I overlooked a lot of things. And to this day, I blame myself. But I still found a way to forgive myself, I'm human. And if I don't learn to forgive the people, I'm still going to be held back by those decisions or indecisions that I made while I was working with them. So yeah, things should be spelled out properly. I didn't do that. People showed me who they are. I didn't, pay attention to it. I felt that, maybe the guy is just angry that there's no money in his hand now. When I pay the next amount of money, he's going to be happy back. And that's how I've been doing it. Just patching things up. I'm not addressing anybody's mistakes. He's my guy. We'll go and have a drink later. Let's be fine. What's up with you? I should have pointed those things out. You mess up, get your ass fired. Peace out.
Yeah, I get your point. Which of your businesses got affected with this? Was it the involved group of companies, or were there other sub businesses that you think that got affected with this and you had to shut them down?
Now, this is what I did. I created a body of company.
Okay.
The reason why I'm smiling is everything was perfect.
Of
You see,
course,
when
our
you
ideas
plan,
are
A,
always
plan B, plan
perfect.
C, everything was perfect. Now, I worked for a lot of people, so I
Yeah.
studied the system.
Yeah.
If God Almighty came from heaven and told me, Ken, you can fail, I'll spit on his face. You can't tell me that. I was very sure. You see, now, not that I did not calculate the human influence. Yes, human influence is going to play a major role.
Yeah.
Human greed is going to come into place. I made an arrangement for the human greed. That is, I made an arrangement for when people mess up. I was so sure. I had a group of companies. I had companies working for themselves inside the group of companies.
Yeah.
I had an NGO to do, social corporate responsibility. It was perfect. I don't want to say the names of the companies, but it was perfect. When the crash came from the group of companies. And so, when the people that sit on the board of directors start messing up, everything went down. I did not anticipate that was going to happen like that. It didn't crack. You see, there was a crack now. To be about speed, I could have hurriedly patched the crack up. No, it was an explosion. There's nothing I could have done about it. And then I was also involved, so it just made the whole thing messy.
And at that point, maybe your emotions and the rest, you were not expecting that though. So there was not like a plan B.
One of the things in being a good entrepreneur is know how to put your own feelings in check. Yes, people are going to test you, of course, but it's your responsibility to put yourself in check first. When you're in check, you have clarity to see situations for what they are. So I wouldn't say they gave me the honor to even feel something. It wasn't up to me. I could have found my way around the situation one way or the other. I could have conned my way, but I feel like God was trying to tell me, what's up?
Oh my God. All right. So how did your mindset and your self-image change during and after all this?
Okay. I remember one fateful day I was driving back from the office to the house. I parked my car by the roadside, came down from the car, looked up at the sky and shouted, God, why? God, leave me alone.
God, leave me alone?
Sure. I begged God. I'm serious. Like, I spent, if I say cry, can I say crude or crude? While I was in the car driving. People couldn't understand. Like, look at this stupid, ungrateful young man inside his car with his tint up and his AC on. What is he complaining about? I begged God. I said, listen, I'm not asking you to bless me. Just leave me the hell alone. Just leave me. Let me be like this unbeliever so I can, do you understand? My brain is enough. Just leave me. There's no amount of beg I didn't beg. Now, at that point in time, what I was feeling was a bit of an emotional rush.
Yeah.
I knew what to do. I've tried every single thing I know to do. Even the things that I was very sure would not fail, everything was falling aside. Now, seeing that time from now and trying to find out why those things failed, of course, trying to do analysis of myself, I realized that, the reason why I was succeeding then was I had trusted individuals who gave themselves to our goal 100%, not people who were in need for money. You see, when people work for you for money, it's a different ball game.
Of course it is. They stay because of the money. If the money is not coming for, they're not part of your goal or your objective. Right? They're not part of the dream of the company. So
exactly. So I realized that was where the major issue was. Those people were my confinement. A lot of entrepreneurs still have the same problem. What's the problem? The problem is we need to be cheered on, cheer you on. People will tell you, man, you're killing this thing, man, you're doing this stuff. A lot of us are going to argue that that's not true. But to be honest with you, You need to attain some level of maturity to say, you know what, I don't care about the appraisal.
Yeah.
I'm just here for the for the business here.
Yeah. All
Now,
right.
afterwards, seeing that okay, these things that happened because um it tried to teach me something, a thing or two, how to be alone, how to discern. In my office, it's bigger now. I don't employ men. When I say this thing outside, people are like, man, bro, what's up? What do you mean by that? I don't employ men. Now, the reason is simple. It's because I realize the kind of person I am. If women can do the job, let them do it. I spoke to another entrepreneur last week. We were trying to, put some money together to do something. He was complaining to me. He said, man, this happened. I helped this person. I knew him from primary school, and this happened. He stole my this, and ran away. And I told him about one other person. I told him my experiences. I said, listen, men don't see love, they see opportunity.
Yeah, yeah. Even when it comes to relating with the opposite sex too.
They don't see love. Especially
is the opportunity aspect before the love aspect. Yeah.
Now he tried to debate it. He was like, "What you mean by that?" I was like, "I want you to sit down and think for a second. If a woman wants to stay with you and work with you, she wants to work with you. I'm not saying they're 100% good, but if she's here, she's here. If she wants to leave, she's going to leave heartlessly. There's no hidden agenda. But brother is with you. He's waiting for you to sleep off. When you see that opportunity, like I said, now
then you want to really take over your business.
Exactly. You were seeing that you're trying to show love for a brother. There are countless cases where I assist people, young men. I saw a guy on the street one time. I stopped my car in front of a hospital. So a guy walked up to me like, "Bro, what's happened?" So I said, I don't know, I heard sound at the passenger side of the tire. He said, "Okay, let him look at it. I don't know you from Adam. You're not a mechanic." So he told me about his bio that I was in Bini, this, that. I looked at the guy. So I mean, somebody that assisted me. So I asked him, "Where are you going to?" Because he looked a bit scruffy, yeah? He said he's going to Duce, somewhere after where I was, but it's close to where I was going to. So I said, "Okay, you know what? Let me give you a lift, Just a brother to another brother." So while in the lift, he was telling me about the whole family problem he's going through, how the country is hard for young men, and I could understand because I knew I passed through the same situation too. While I stopped at my house, I put my hand in my pocket, gave him a tip. Look, you know what? Just use from here and just sort yourself out. You say you could help me solve this problem. I want to give you a chance. You're not a mechanic. I have a mechanic that could help me look this stuff up. But what you said seemed like you have a pretty smart TV, and you just need somebody to give you a shot. He was grateful. The next day, he showed up in my house. This nigga literally woke me up from sleep. Bros, I'm here. He was active, was punctual. So I said, okay. So I started asking him questions. I said, I don't trust you to fix my car because I have someone do that for me. I'm going to call up my mechanics to come pick the car from my office, just check what the sound is. But what do you do? What can you do? He said, yeah, he don't want to work in a mechanic anymore and he wanted something different out of life. So I said, I have 3 logistics bikes. I could give you 1. Can you manage it? He said, yeah. Then you're going to return. Well, I need you to get guarantor form, the process, the paperwork to make sure this goes smoothly. He said, okay, fine. I gave him the guarantor. He was wasting so much time, so many excuses. I told him, listen. I cannot give you the bike until you fill up the guarantor's form. It's simple. But now I can't talk to you on the phone. It's kind of sad that sometimes you just come to look for me at the office or my house. I'm going to give you a phone. There's an Android phone. I plan to give you the phone while you're doing the logistics so you can use the Google Map to find locations where you're going to. He said, thanks, boss. This guy I gave him the phone.
Oh my God.
So you could call me. The first week passed. He called me once. He called me to give me updates on the guarantor's form he was filling. The second week passed. I didn't hear from him. The third week, the same thing. The fourth week, he showed up to my house on a fateful morning, looking all fresh and fly. Now, while he was coming to look for me in the office of the house, He wore the same clothes. Now he's all freshed up. I was, like, hey, maybe he's trying to work on himself now, Guess what he said to me? He said, bros, somebody stole the phone you gave to me. And
Oh my
the
God.
person gave me this small one. I've arrested the person.
Oh,
My
the
heart
person,
shattered.
okay, someone stole the phone, gave him a small phone, and he collected, then he arrested the person. What a wonderful story.
My heart shattered in a million pieces. I said, listen, if I tell somebody this story, they're going to call me stupid. But I'm not stupid. I'm smart. I helped you. It is help. You need to see that I assisted you. And that's just one of the cases. Till it came to a time where I agreed to myself that, listen, men don't see love, they see opportunities.
Yeah.
So I'd rather strike a deal with a man than put him under my canopy.
All right. So now with this, what's one habit or mindset that helps you to bounce back stronger?
I would say my faith is strong, but I don't want to sound a bit more on the religious arm of it. But see, entrepreneurship is a mind game. What is the certainty that this thing will work out? How certain are you? Yeah. How sure are you that what you're trying to do will work out? 2, how are you that you can carry on with this thing that you plan to work out? 3, what is the future of this thing you're trying to do? If failure comes, what happens? You're not sure of these things. You don't know what will happen. There are a lot of cases of people who imported things and everything sank with people's money. So my money is in what I imported. My friend's money is in it. My friend's associate's money is in it. The whole container sinks. What do? I'm a debtor. Those guys don't care if my grandmother swallowed shovel. They want their goods or their money back. I have to find a way to stop that.
They don't care.
They don't care.
Of course.
Nothing is more brutal than entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is extreme sport. You mess up one wrong turn, your life is over. Sometimes you get locked up. So I would say my faith, the faith that at the end of the day, every single thing is going to work out. I don't care how it looks like now, but I'm certain that to work out as long as I stay true to the craft. Now, what do I mean by being true to the craft? The craft is the act of giving value and giving my best. As long as these 2 things are in place, I'll be fine.
Right. So was there any time you were tempted to quit? Like I'm done? Or your faith was strong that no matter what, you're going to keep pushing through?
Well, I mean, I was born in the church, yeah, and I was ready to let God go than let entrepreneurship go. So I mean, that should give you an idea. I'm a rooted Christian. I was literally born in the church. I don't know what life will be without entrepreneurship. I don't know what I'll be without being an entrepreneur. I don't know what it looks like. And I'm not even curious to know about what's going to look like. So for that question, I don't think there's ever a time that I plan to quit.
So if you could write a letter to your younger CEO of like 4-5 years ago, so what do you think the content of the letter would be?
If I could write a letter to myself in 2022, I'll tell myself to sack Michael. Michael was a corny staff I employed. God.
Oh my God.
That guy made me think I had a mental problem. You know what he's done? Look, because you are CEO doesn't mean you are the smartest person. I just want to point that out there.
Yes, of course.
You're not the smartest person, yeah? In your establishment, you could have staffs way smarter than you.
Way smarter than you. Yes, that's how establishments gets people that move their money. I don't know. It takes them years for them to realize. Sometimes the person might even resigned and left the company.
I had people who had better skill set. God, I had this guy called Ejiro. His designs, till date, I still look at his designs to make designs. That's how good he was. I'm talking about, he worked for me 4 or 5 years ago. He's so good. But in the letter I'm going to write to myself, I will tell myself to let go of the idea that you can go far with everybody. The babysitting, the pampering. I'll write a letter to myself to tell myself that any form of disrespect is a threat to life. If someone disrespects you in the office, kick their ass out. I had a lady scream at, it's an Igbo girl. One of the guys that I was with on the boardroom was dating the girl. She told me to she told me to get out. I can't talk to her like that. I can't talk to her boyfriend like that.
Whoa. You got a bunch of people into your company.
I'm like, I can't talk to you. Is your boyfriend mad? Not even you. Let's leave you aside. Is your boyfriend mad to date a thing like you? I couldn't address the situation, yeah, because while she was talking, my staff members were at the background. I had about 15 staff members. Hearing this lady insult their boss the way she liked. That day I went back home. I was so upset. That's when I decided to start Volt Unlimited. I got so angry, I left the company, started a new one, and they crippled themselves. The company went down. That was the end of crap.
Oh my God.
I made her boyfriend in charge. That's how I do my clap back. He couldn't handle it. All the staffs were gone.
They were in debt? Were they in debt?
No, they weren't.
Were they in debt? They were not in debt,
No,
but the company
they couldn't just manage. So the thing
they couldn't manage it.
They couldn't keep up to it. They couldn't keep it. They couldn't even manage themselves. They were always fighting. The whole board member were fighting each other. And they called me back and abandoned them.
It was so early to be fighting each other.
It is what it is. True leadership is, it's easier for you to tell that somebody is driving wrongly when you're on the passenger seat.
Yeah.
If they say heavy is the head that wears the crown, they won't know until you put it on them to, let them take the push to see what comes out of it. So I was going to stop all of those. I wouldn't have left Cram, but then I would have still started voting. I would have kept my 2 firms running regardless. I would have created a system to kick people out when they misbehave, and then them to pay a certain amount, because they were getting mad amount of cash. I mean, force them to pay a certain amount of money when you insult me or insult anybody in the team. I would have said no.
I think that this strategy of yours.
Yeah, I spent money off with them. I mean,
you pay me when you insult me. Wow, that's great. So what did friends and family say at the time? Were they supportive? Were they critical?
Okay, so now my younger brother, he came up to me one day and said, Ava, sure I no go do the work while they do so. I was like, oh God. I said, bro, listen, I can't do what you are doing. I'm a man of systems. It's like, which one be systems? Okay, you don't get money. Which one be systems? Which one be systems? I couldn't explain my ordeal to them. It is difficult. It's like they're saying A, B, C, D, and I'm teaching them quadratic expression. I mean, what are you saying? You either have money or you don't have money. And now you don't have money.
He's talking like a woman. Like, whatever his system. Just make the money.
To me. I told them building systems take time. They couldn't understand the idea that you could intentionally starve yourself. Now, it's not a question of if you have the skill set to pull this off. We know you can pull it off. Why are you not pulling it off? What is the problem? I couldn't put it into simple terms why I couldn't leave what I was doing, even if it wasn't bringing as much cash.
Yeah.
Then focus on what they were doing. Till this day, I stay true to my craft anyways.
So what do you know now about failure that you wish every aspiring entrepreneur understood? Now you're talking to aspiring entrepreneurs, so we're trying to prepare their minds. Concerning if they fail.
I also do public speaking on the side. Yeah.
Okay.
I think humans naturally have an instinct to fear the unknown.
Okay.
Now, in my opening speech, whenever I speak to a group of persons, the first thing I say is, I am a master of failure. I had 7 companies and all failed at the same time, and I'm still struggling to stand. I don't think failure can be prevented. I think failure can be handled better. There are people who are doing well in business and they fail in their marriages, and the failure in the marriage affects the business.
Yeah.
Yeah? Not because they were bad business people,
Of
it's just
course.
your deal. So it's how you handle failure.
Oh,
But when failure comes, what do? Would you complain about the situation, blame every single person that caused your failure, or put the blame and say, oh, it's this guy that caused me to fail, or it's this person that caused me to fail? Or are you going to say, you know what, okay, that's happened. What do I do next? What do I do better? While I was building, I assumed a lot of things. I assumed that my friends had my back. I assumed they weren't coming to me because of the money. I assumed that we were a group of friends, and an issue comes out, we're going to solve it together as a group of friends. There was a lot of assumptions. Now I know better. A person approaches me to have a business or do any kind of deal, we have to go by the books. I realize what is called reputation. If a person insults me, we have to trash the insult out. I will not let it slide. I don't care what the insult is. If you insult me, I'll tell you that you defame my character. In fact, I'm in a forum now, and somebody said something about me yesterday in the forum, and I'm filing a motion against the person. You can't insult me and go free. We have to trash it out.
That means if you are in the Western world, you'll actually be making a lot of money from this, because that's what they do. You just insult them or do something, they will sue you,
the truth is,
and they try to make money out of it.
Narrative. There's something called narrative. It's called framing. When a person is being framed, they are putting you in a box. They don't have to do it at once. It's a little drop of water makes an ocean. So every single day they say one certain thing about you. It's getting stored subconsciously or consciously in the mind of the people.
Mind of other people, yes.
Exactly. The girl that I told you insulted me, she said this. She said one day, I don't have good team management. Okay. The next day, she said something else. So the day she said what she said and said it loud, the other team members did not pounce on her. They allowed it slide. It means somewhat, she said it so much that they kind of agree with her.
Yeah.
You see? So when something happens, I don't just read what happens, I read the whole room. Because the reaction of people, sometimes when they are not aware you're watching, they give their true self. Yeah? So, have this in mind. Reputation is your life. Guide it seriously.
Wow. Okay. Reputation is our life. Guide it seriously. That's one thing to note. How has failure deepened your purpose or shifted your mission? Has it deepened your purpose or shifted your mission? Are you still sticking to whatever you said you want to do, or there's a realignment?
If you go to my office, there's a small chess shrine there. It's a chessboard with a painting on top of the chessboard in a properly framed environment.
Okay. That
chess frame was given to me by a lady who made it herself, and she don't even know what the frame is about. She doesn't have an idea. I think somehow the universe installed it in her brain to do something like that. So this is what the chess frame was about. There were 3 chess pawns, yeah? And the middle one had a crown on its head. What it means is, if you play chess, the pawn has to go through the castle, the bishop, the horses, the knights, every single part of the enemy, and reach the end of the enemy's chess plate. When it reaches the end, it then decides what it wants to become. You want to be a queen? You want to be a horse? You want to be a bishop? Whatever that pawn chooses. So, having a crown at the middle pawn means that this pawn has gone to the end and it came back and decided to be a king. That's how I saw myself. I saw myself that beyond all odds, I fought and I got a safe haven for my team members,
Yeah.
and we could travail. That's what the painting is about. Now, the vision hasn't changed, but I'm smarter and older now. I understand that you don't have to make success with the people that fought with you while you started. Take, for instance, a space rocket. When it's going to the space, it's a whole compartment. While it accelerates, it starts dropping them off one after the other. Because the truth is, the whole weight of that space rocket is not designed to meet the destination. So, let's say the purpose hasn't changed, but the vision definitely has.
Okay. All right. So, are there any books, podcasts, mentors, or rituals that helped you during those feelings of you were passing through or you were passing through?
Okay, so
Podcast,
I listen to
mentors.
Lucy Temekwayo a lot. He's a South African businessman and speaker. One of the things that intrigues me is that we have the same kind of head. You know?
Of course.
But then I was kind of debating, should I take off my beard the same way he took off his beards? I'm like, let me follow him in the head, you know?
Boy, the beers, let me leave myself.
Yeah, the beards. The beautiful thing about Lucy Temekwayo is that he still maintains a certain level of eloquence. Yes. Now, I realize that most times it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Oh.
Over the years, I've learned and mastered the act of speaking, the act of storytelling. From just listening to his podcast and listening to his audiobooks and recommendations, interviews, it has really framed my life to be a gentleman, a smart, a man of color, shall I say, an African man, trying to think globally. A lot of business owners have a lot of money in this country, but their thinking acumen is just, within the shores of Nigeria.
Yeah. What's your personal litmus test now for whether a new idea is worth pursuing?
Sorry?
What's your personal litmus test for whether a new idea is worth pursuing?
Okay. So before now, let me give you a little backstory of how I had 7 companies.
Okay.
If I think of an idea, I'll call one of my colleagues called Gabriel. I say, Gabe, I just think this thing now. Gabriel just needs me to tell him I want to do something. He's going to do it. I call my lawyer. Hello, Dan. Register this company for me. And that's it. Idea has started. I don't care. There was money to facilitate these thoughts.
Wow.
Now, saying that, do you have to test it? Now that I'm older, I know better. What I do is when I have a new business idea, I write it down. If the idea still stays in my mind after a week or 2, I start to process it. If it doesn't, that's it. The truth is, you don't really know if it's going to make money. You just have to. There's so much that I've learned now that I realize that most times, if my ordeal is to create impact, to make things better, I don't have to start a company. I could partner with somebody who already has that firm and struggling.
Yeah.
The goal is met. Instead of me trusting his words now, we have to sign papers.
Of course.
And guess what I realize? A lot of people don't like to sign papers.
They don't, because they know the implications.
Because they want to snake you at the end. They have bad intention.
Yeah. If a listener now is going through failure right now, so what's one thing you want them to hear?
So I'm going to be a bit realistic here.
Okay.
The country doesn't smile at entrepreneurs the way it should. I'm talking about ROIs. I'm talking about interest profit. I'm talking about the cost of purchase, the cost of production. Even if you're offering a service, the prices are constantly changing. It's hard for you to calculate your profit and also foresee or forecast your growth in terms of resource, finance, profit, revenue, etc. So I'm not going to sit here and say, if you're going through stuff, have a better bookkeeping, have a better this. That's all a fallacy. We need to ask yourself a question. Before you start any business, the question is, if this business wasn't making you money, would you still stay on it? That's the first question.
Mm.
If the answer is yes, please proceed. If the answer is no, you are not an entrepreneur, you are just a trader. There's a clear difference.
Wow, that's so profound. I'm not entrepreneur, trader. That's a clear difference. Yeah.
Clear
Okay.
difference.
I think we're getting to the end of our meeting. Wow, it's almost 1 hour, and it feels like we just started. I've been enjoying this talk with you, Ken. So I think we're getting to the end of this, and so this is like the first interview on this podcast, and we are live to YouTube. So you will think yourself very soon on my channel. No, and so what do you think to tell to people that entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, founders, or people who have lost it and they've given up? So what kind of encouragement are you going to give to them?
Well, there's a need for reassessment and auditing.
Mm-hmm.
I want to point something out real clear. Nancy, you have done, I have to say this. I know it's not part of the podcast, but the host of this podcast just got married. So I maybe we should give it for her.
Thank you.
So I'm supposed to say Mrs. Nancy now, not Nancy. Mrs. Nancy, I am super excited that you still kept the fire burning to, have your podcast and life and still pursue the dream. It's not the first time you're trying to do something like this.
Yeah.
And you still kept it burning. I'm going to say the universe drops seeds in our heart to pursue. Whether or not it takes you 5 years, 10 years, the seed is there. You either water it or not. Yeah? Gone are the days where people just do mediocre stuff and put it online.
Mm-hmm.
You have to meet the standards, present yourself properly, be professional. Because at the end of the day, people work with you because they trust you. Trust is very important. And you have to look trustworthy and presentable. So Nancy, this is very good. For the rest of the people who are working, and you're having issues, you're a founder, you need to upgrade your work, and understand the people business. People business is, I have seen people spend money on stuff that shouldn't be spent money on. I have a friend that closed deals laughing with people who you shouldn't even dare smile at. It's crazy. This friend of mine have understood the people business. He literally he doesn't know half the thing I know, but he has more than I can't even imagine. And that's how life is. At the end of the day, it's still people you're selling to, yes? So people business and upgrade your work so you can reach more people.
Yeah.
A wealthy man is going to pay you money, more money. What the wealthy man wants is professionalism, and don't tell him stories. And how you talk also matters. I had a guy that charged me more. I paid for his services, even if I knew it was the same thing. I like his approach and his presentation. It made me feel more like we're partners in the business. Yeah. Even if he was taking money from my pocket, I was happily giving it to him, and he charged more. So, in other words, just work on those things and work on your presentation. You'll be fine.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. We're at the end of today's live interview with Mr. Kenneth. Really appreciate for being the person to honor this interview. God bless you.